Welcome back to the Common Colt Podcast, a Colts podcast, real takes, no clickbait. I'm Josh Hudgens, the guy on the left, and that's Dan Hertzler, the guy on the right. Dan, how are you doing?
I'm doing good, enjoying just another weekend, and we're getting closer and closer to some big moments coming up. We're talking cap now, and we're talking free agency. We're talking offseason. Our coach is hired. Things are moving. And before you know it, middle of March, I believe, is going to be free agency.
Yep.
We're going to look to see, well, what's your one word, Josh? What's your one word when you think about the Colts cap situation?
Get your calculators out right now, boys and girls. Get your pens, pencils, whatever you use. The Colts are 12th in the league, right? And salary cap right now. It's around 12, 13 million bucks. For scope of reference, the Bears have 94 million. They're most in the league, whereas the Bucks are in the negative 55 million. Like, they're over the cap. So the Colts, they got me feeling decent. That's my one word. You dive into their cap, you can make some moves to free up a lot of cap quickly. What about you? What's your one word?
I'm going to go with the word flexible. I think they got some flexibility with some choices. First, right off the bat, you got to decide Matt Ryan. I would say everybody's pretty much saying he's out the door. They're going to eat up about 18 million, I think, in dead cap, but it frees up 17, 19, something around there. So it's a positive move, frees up enough cap. That's at least one player, possibly two players that they could add just by getting rid of him. Then it starts to get a little tricky on what you want to do from there. You've suggested Kenny Moore. You think Kenny Moore might get traded?
Yeah, I look at Kenny Moore as somebody who he had a down year after a Pro Bowl season, the season prior. And I think if the Colts are going to trade up in the draft, they could work with the Bears. The Bears head coach Matt Eberflus coached Kenny Moore as a Colts defensive coordinator. There's those connections there, and that would free up around $8 million for the Colts salary cap. That would put them up to $20 million in cap space. Plus Matt Ryan getting cut, and all of a sudden you're looking at close to $40 million roughly. So just those two guys, that puts you at $40 million right there. And obviously Matt Ryan, he's in limbo right now. I think it's not a matter of if he gets cut, it's when. He's playing the smart move because there's a date coming up in March where if he's still on the roster, he gets fully guaranteed, and then he'd make another like 18 million bucks, and the Colts aren't going to let that happen. So he'll get cut. I think the Colts are just hoping maybe he'll retire or something.
Yeah, I think those are two guys that you can probably, definitely see something's probably going to happen there. Again, this isn't a video game. Is the cap kind of imaginary? As the New Orleans Saints are always kind of pushing the cap. We're not going to get into all those things because you could really lose your mind looking at all this stuff. But three people I think that you really got to pay attention to that have salaries that might be cuttable or tradable is Stephon Gilmore, Buckner, and then Ryan Kelly. Now, I'm not saying all three of them. I'm not saying that they should do that because, again, if we bring in a rookie quarterback, we want some players that can play with him.
Yeah, you need a center.
And they can still play. Yeah, you need a center. But I think they're at least on the table, and it's part of the flexibility that Colts have. And, a new coach staff comes in, and they're looking at things. They want to do some things another way. They're ready to move on. It's usually these veterans are the ones that are the first to go. And so I think we got to keep an eye on those. But all three of them have salaries and contracts that are ones that you can move.
Yeah, so again, we're looking at Matt Ryan getting cut, possibly Kenny Moore getting traded. That puts you close to $40 million. When I look at someone like Ryan Kelly, I know his name's been tossed around a bunch. I take a step back and I think about salary cap as a whole. And a lot of people, they go on over the cap or sporadic and they start using the calculators and they're like, oh, wow, if I cut these two guys and trade this guy, all of a sudden we're top 5 in the league. Pump the brakes. Pump the brakes. I get it. Ryan Kelly even had a bit of a down year, but you got an offensive line who underperformed, and now what are you gonna do at center now? Or you think you're gonna get somebody better? Like, we already gonna use our first round draft pick and possibly maybe trade assets to get this quarterback. Now how are we gonna fix our center situation? So sometimes, even though having a big cap number is fun, it probably means you don't have players anymore. So I do think that Ryan's got to go. I do think that Buckner is a maybe. He would free up close to $20 million, but all of a sudden you have to start thinking, what are we going to do with this cap space, this season? I mean, you're not going to sign a big fish this season. Ballard has never been known to be a guy to make big free agent signings anyway. So to me, I think there are a few guys that are going to go, Ryan, Kenny Moore, like you said, maybe Gilmore, but I mean, what would you do with this cap space anyway? Just try to re-sign Taylor and Pittman early, or what are you thinking about that situation?
Well, yeah, that's part of this that you have to look at too. You got to look at, okay, who are your unrestricted free agents coming up? And Taylor's obviously the big one. Pittman's another big one. You got to figure out, do you want to spend money? Is he worth the kind of money that the receivers are getting on the open market? You also have to realize you got to save money for your draft picks as well too. If you're going to be taking 1-1, 1-4, that's going to eat up some of your cap as well too. So all these decisions are part of it. And to your point, do you want to get out there into a bidding war? We've seen some teams in the past, Jacksonville did that. They had some success this year, but I would say their success wasn't as much about their free agents as it was about just getting the right quarterback and their draft picks. So I am not a huge believer that you should go out and spend the big money. I think free agency is kind of fool's gold. I think we see a lot of paper champions in the offseason. To me, I'm looking and say, okay, let's do some reasonable moves here. Let's save some money. Maybe look at some guys that are kind of third, fourth day bargains on the free agent market. Plug them in, but let's focus on the draft. Let's get the young guys in here.
Yeah, and when you look at the Colts' current kind of free agents this season, obviously Bobby Okereke, he's the big one. I think cutting Ryan and making some of these moves, that'd free up enough cap space to get him back. Maybe you extend Paris Campbell to a small kind of 1-year prove-it deal. But you're not a big Paris Campbell fan.
No, I'm not, man. That dude's just another dude. There's 100 of those wide receivers out there. Yeah. I know some Colts fans love that guy. I am not in that camp.
Yeah, he can't stay healthy, obviously. Being Colts receivers, none of them have had a great chance to perform with the quarterback situation. I wouldn't be opposed to a short 1 year, $2-3 million, but if this guy's thinking he's going to break the bank somehow, I'm out on Paris Campbell, 100%. But when you look at the Colts unrestricted free agent class, it's Bobby Okereke and maybe Yannick Ngakoue, and Bobby O is the only one I'm like, hey, let's get this guy back, because he performed well this year with Shaq Leonard being out. So I think that's a must. And the rest of these guys that look through here, maybe Chase McLaughlin, the kicker, but none of these guys really blow me away. Like, hey, I don't want to lose this guy. So.
Yeah, and that's the thing. None of them are the guys that I think that we have to say we got to get them at all costs. To me, it just comes down to the dollars and cents. Does it make sense to spend the money, or can we get another guy equally as good somewhere else for cheaper the price? And again, the Colts need to be thinking, get your quarterback, get your head coach, and then 2024, 2025, that's when maybe you take some of this cap space that you got and then you load up and get the some of the guys that you really need. It is not this offseason. Colts fans, we've got to be patient. We got to work through the draft, maybe some depth players, but we are not here to spend big money this offseason.
Well, you make a great point. First of all, if the Colts do draft a quarterback this year, this guy's going to be on a rookie contract, and that's going to free up a bunch of cap space in the next 2 years. Obviously, Buckner's got 2 years left on his deal. Ryan Kelly's got 2 years left on his deal. So I think some of these guys who people are kind of tossing up, getting dealt right now, may be a season off almost. Like let's not stunt our rookie quarterback's growth by trading too many good assets on our team and putting them in a bad situation. Yeah. So I think that's kind of the strength the Colts have is that flexibility. We're not a team like Tampa Bay or something where we mortgaged our future and now we're in salary cap, purgatory or something. But it's always tough. Salary cap is weird because tomorrow somebody could restructure a contract, and it's just incredibly confusing. And I don't think half the GMs even understand it based off some of the moves they make. So it's fun. But hey guys, listen, if you want to keep posting on more Colts news or takes or analysis, or you just want to roast us, make sure you can drop a sub. It means a lot. We're really close to 1,000 subscribers. So if you can subscribe to our channel, keep watching the Common Colt Podcast. And until next time, have a great day.